Alright guys, I'm Greg with Kaivac Tech Support. We're making a video today for you guys. We're going to talk about the vacuum system and troubleshooting, some maintenance. Really with vacuum it depends on your starting symptom as to how you would address that. You know, obviously if your suction is not where it was when you got the machine, it seems to be going down, or maybe you're leaving too much water on the floor. For that particular issue, you really, you want to make sure you got good blades on your squeegee head. If your blades are worn out, you're going to leave more water on the floor. You can also, get a clog in the hose. Sometimes you might get something stuck in your wand itself. So if it just seems like you're leaving too much water on the floor, you need to eliminate some of that stuff. You can, separate the two-piece wands and inspect in both sides. There is this button here on the wand itself. Sometimes you can catch a piece of yarn on that from an old mop that somebody may have been using, and then that'll just build up over time and eventually clogs your wand up. Also, your hose itself can get some clogs in it. So one of the things I like to do when I'm troubleshooting low suction is try to narrow down where my problem is. So with a vacuum, you could actually test the amount of suction you're getting at the end of your hose and then test it at your machine. So how you do that is you turn your vacuum on and you just want to stick 2 fingers in the end of your vacuum hose. Make a mental note of how much suction you feel on the end of the hose, and then disconnect the vacuum here and do the same thing here. If you notice a big difference from the amount of suction here and the amount of suction here, then you know your problem is here in the hose. If they seem to be equal, maybe they're both weak, make sure your tank is sealed. Maybe your dump hose isn't screwed on all the way and you got an air leak there. Maybe your cap, or your back tank lid, if you notice there's a gasket, a little rubbery gasket there that'll help you get a seal. You might have some dirt there or here, that's not allowing that to seal when the vacuum's on, and you're losing some vacuum through that. So you want to eliminate those kind of things for low suction. Maybe you're using your vacuum and you are vacuuming the floor and it's working great, it sounds great, and then all of a sudden it just stops. The motor's still running, but you just got no suction whatsoever. What that usually is, and sometimes you can hear it engage, but what that usually is your float shut off. If your water is full, the float ball will come up and shut the suction off to your vacuum. If the cage is dirty, the ball can come up and shut the suction off to your vacuum. Maybe you've got a lot of foam in your tank. So if that's the case, check out our video. We did a separate video on just the float shut off and how to keep that clean and what can cause it to engage when the tank's not totally full. So, also, another thing that can cause low suction is if your Hepa filter gets dirty. Your air in will match your air out. So if you can't get the air out, it's not going to go there. So, after you've eliminated those other things, you would want to check your Hepa filter, and it comes off pretty easy. Just give it a little turn, pops right off. There's a little piece in here, little threaded plastic piece. Just spin that off, and the Hepa filter will drop right out. Now, once you've got the Hepa filter out, what you want to do is just turn on your vacuum. If you notice a big difference once you've got the Hepa filter out, then you know you've found the problem. So you just need to get you a new Hepa filter. So if it's just low vacuum suction, that's how you would start. Start out at your wand, work your way back in, eliminate your squeegee blades, eliminate a clog in your wand, eliminate a clog in the hose or a tear in your hose. You know, one thing you can do to try to find the tear in your hose is you can actually take the hose and attach it on your blower here. So if you just take one end of your hose and attach it to the blower, the other end you can actually put your hand over it and stop the air, and if there is a hole in that hose, you'll find it real quick. So if you think you got a hole in the hose, that's how you find that hole. Some of the other things you maybe it's you got a loud noise coming from your vac motor. It might be you know, real high-pitched screaming noise, and you know, that could be your carbon brushes. It could be your bearing on your vac motor. It could be just some corrosion on your impellers in there. There's really not a lot of room inside of that vac motor. So if you get some rust on those impellers, they'll rub and then they'll scream. So if that's the issue, you got a loud screaming vac motor, the first thing you want to do is eliminate rust, because that's the easiest. So you're just going to turn on your vac. You're going to take this hose right here and put your hand over it. Just cut the air off, hold it for 7 or 10 seconds, and then release it. And then do it again and hold that for another 7 or 10 seconds, and then release it. After doing that, I would say 3-4 times, holding it for 7 to 10 seconds each time. If you do have corrosion on those impellers of your vac motor, that's gonna it causes your vac motor to kind of squeeze together, and it's gonna get louder before it gets quieter. So expect, you know, the screaming to get a little louder. But once you've burned off, and you may even get that kind of that carbon soot smell, that's normal. That's okay. It's just the corrosion burning off. So usually after 3 or 4 tries, that will go away, and your vac motor's back to being quiet. If the vac motor doesn't quiet up after doing that, then you're looking at your carbon brushes are probably worn out and rubbing. You know, it might be time for a new vac motor. Your bearings could be out, and it's out of balance a little bit, and it may be time for a new vac motor with the bearings out. Now, one way to protect your bearings in the vac motor, this is a wet vac, which means there is going to be moisture. There's nothing you can do about that. You're going to get some moisture in there, whether it be humidity, whether it be a little bit of foam. You know, there is going to be moisture. So one thing you can do to eliminate it from doing any damage is, after you're done vacuuming, you know, you got your wand and you're out there vacuuming your floor, you know, and you're all done. Don't just hang it up and turn it off. You know, go ahead and let the vacuum run. You're done vacuuming, let it run. Wrap your hoses up, put your tools on, you know, do anything you need to do to get ready to move on to your next area while letting your vacuum run. It doesn't have to run for very long, 30-40 seconds, maybe a minute at the most. But that air and heat being generated by the vac will actually dry that moisture up. So one way to keep any damage from the moisture getting in your vac from happening is to actually just let it run for 30 or 40 seconds after you're done vacuuming, and that should eliminate failing bearings.